Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to Tableau's Data and Diversity event. Data and Diversity is a series that provides a platform for community conversations surrounding the challenges and solutions to diversity in data. This session will be recorded and we will share it with everyone after today's event. If you have any questions for our presenters today, please be sure to submit them through the Q&A function. And feel free to use the chat to get to know each other. I am Kathy Dockery, or actually I am Kathy DeVeaux, the Executive Director of the Datalingual Institute, which supports the Blacks in Analytics Tableau group. The Datalingual Institute is a nonprofit organization that serves as a catalyst to build and empower a diverse talent pipeline to harness the power of data and to shape analytics. Our past events have included leveraging data and Tableau for social change, our Black Cinema Data Viz Challenge. Our civic engagement projects have included providing analytics on African Americans and the COVID vaccine, and facilitating wearable tech workshops for high school students. I want to make one quick announcement before we get started. Our academic partner, Columbia Data Science Institute, is offering fellowships for masters in data science for students in underserved or underprivileged populations. You can find more about this fellowship on our website, datalingualinstitute.org. Well, Black history is celebrated in February, as you know. But today we are looking at history in the making by celebrating Black excellence from rising stars in data. Each of these rising stars will discuss their career journeys, lessons learned, as well as what excites them about the field of data. I'm going to introduce our first rising star, who is Terence, who is the Senior Director of Risk Data Science at DigniFi. Terence, tell us about your career journey.
Wow, thank you, Kathy. My career journey. So I was born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia. I really had no idea that I would be on this path that I'm on now. Growing up in public school systems with great parents and great teachers, they always encourage you, but I found myself being challenged by math early on, and I wasn't great at it, but it was the challenge of it. So I made my fair share of C's and below in math, and retook a course or two. But again, it was always the challenge. I embraced that, that challenge. And so going off to college, I went to Alabama State University and decided, after being inspired by my teachers, that I want to be a math teacher too. And so I started as a math education major at Alabama State University. And then about my sophomore year, one of my professors said, "You should be a professor in math, not just a teacher." So I said, okay, I'll be a professor. So a lot of my journey has been, by teachers who've helped guide me and lead me and saw things in me that, at the time I didn't even know existed. Again, I didn't know there was a such thing really as a math professor, to be honest, or what you could do with a graduate degree in mathematics. And so I switched from math education to math. And so that really started my true journey into analytics. So I started taking much more physics and statistics and all those other fun courses, right? And again, some of them I had to take twice. But again, I always just embraced the challenge. I always loved that challenge. And so leaving undergraduate, I went to graduate school and started a PhD program in mathematics at the University of Missouri. I did that for about 2 years before I realized something no one ever told me, and hopefully I could help someone along the way, that graduate school is very, very theoretical. And in my mind, I thought, I'm going to use math and science to come back and fix all these problems in my neighborhood and my community and all these cool things. Graduate school mathematics is theory. So if you had your course in proofwriting as an undergraduate, it's more nearly all of that in graduate school. But it's a great foundation because I will say this, I learned kind of the foundations of what math is. And really it ignited a different passion in mathematics. That is, I learned the philosophy of mathematics. And when I was a TA and teaching my students, who at the time I didn't realize that people didn't like math, right? I thought at least everyone enjoyed math or enjoyed the challenge, but I realized no, math gave some people big anxiety. But I would teach my students about this philosophy and all these names you see behind these theorems, Laplace or Fourier or Pythagoras. These are all real people, and they were really philosophers of their day. And they wanted to use math and science to fix the problems of their day. And so I would teach my students, that journey of mathematics and discovery, as opposed to, just going straight into the equations. Ultimately, about halfway through the semester, they would hate me because, of course, you have to get into the numbers and the equations. But again, I was really excited by their excitement and seeing that math is a real thing. It's not totally abstract, and these people who we see, these theorems and names behind, they were real people, philosophers and problem solvers of their day. So I did that for a couple of years, but another good friend or professor said, well, if you're tired of the theory, there's this other major called industrial engineering. And I had never heard of industrial engineering, by the way. And I said, well, what is that? They said, well, it's like math, but it's more applied. And so I said, well, okay, I'll give that a try. So I went to my advisor. I said, hey, I'm going to change from a PhD in math and do a PhD in industrial engineering. And of course, they agreed. And along the way, I ended up just finishing up a master's degree in mathematics and transferred into the PhD program in industrial engineering. And again, it was exactly what they told me. It was very, very applied. You take courses like operations research, production systems, and industrial engineering essentially rises out of this, what we see now, these supply chain type problems. Unfortunately, what you see in these war efforts, a lot of that comes into play in industrial engineering. How do you move troops? How do you move goods? How do you move services? And queuing theory. So all of this is industrial engineering. So I did that for another 8 years. And by the way, I have a long journey because I spent almost all of my time in graduate school. And by the way, I love graduate school. I'll be the first to admit it. So I was in graduate school working on a PhD in industrial engineering. And I think I was probably in about year 8, and I got a little bored and restless, and I said, I want to get out and do something. So I took a job with the company called Citibank doing risk analytics. And at the time, I was still a PhD student, but I had finished all my courses, I had finished all my exams, and I was literally just writing my dissertation. And I did, and spoiler alert, I didn't finish my PhD, by the way, because everyone told me, don't take a job, stay focused, finish. I said, no, I'll be okay, I'll finish. And so I went to work, and I found a new life in corporate world, right? And the reason I say that, because I went from being an academician for, I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 years now, if you include undergrad, maybe 10 years, to now this experience where time is money. Everything is moving fast. You work in this financial corporate environment, go, run. And I found that exciting and exhilarating. I was like, yeah, I want more of this. And so as I was doing that, I was in Missouri, and unfortunately it was snowing, and I realized, why am I driving in this snow? And so that led me to say, okay, I'm leaving Missouri. And I cast a big net, and I applied for a job at Walt Disney World in Orlando, Florida, to work in their marketing department. And so they hired me. And again, I'm still a PhD student. So now I'm working at Disney in marketing, of all places. And the more to the story is that, again, with a background in mathematics or industrial engineering, statistics, computer, there are a lot of places you can land, right? So I go from finance, now I'm into marketing at Disney World. And so I do that for a few more years. Then I go into another job at Disney World in industrial engineering, building wait time models for the attractions. So if you've ever been to Disney World and see one of those wait times that said you're going to wait 60 minutes to ride Space Mountain, well, my job was to predict that, right? And so that was a lot of fun. I did that for about another 3 years, still a PhD student. And I think at about this time, I realized, okay, Terence, you're not going to do this PhD. I wrote my advisor. I said, back in Missouri, my committee people had started to retire. My research had gotten old. I said, okay, well, clearly we're not going to finish this. I said, I think I probably did enough for another master's, though. Could you just do it change of course, and they did. So they gave me a second master's in industrial engineering. So I'm still working at Disney, and again, really enjoying it. The analytics at Disney allows you to do a number of things. A place like Disney World, as a company, it's almost like a little city. There's restaurants, there are hotels, there are customers, there's lines and analytics, and there's a lot of creativity there. So that's what really I enjoy most about probably being at Disney, is to create creativity that you're around. So I did that for a number of years, and then just got I wouldn't say bored, but just ready to for a change of pace. So I was at Disney for about 10 years, and now I moved to where I am now in South Florida, and took a job with a company called Citrix Systems. They're a software company, again, managing a team, and did a few more detours along the way. Picked up another master's degree in computer science along the way. So that was number 3. And now I'm with a company called DigniFi, which is a startup fintech company, which I just recently started, which is a company that attracted me because I'm super passionate about what they do. Their mission is to lend to the most, the ones that need it the most, for example. So if you need your car breaks down and you're going to work and you have to pull into an auto repair shop, you may not have that money right on you, right? So this company, DigniFi, what we do is we use analytics and facial recognition technology, and that's why it's called fintech, because we use financial instruments and technology to make smarter, wiser, quicker decisions to get you on your way. And so what we do is we try to finance that car repair right at the moment, right while you're in the shop, and to get you on your way so you can get to your job, get to your or pick up your children. And so that's where I am now. I work as a senior director of data science, doing that, and it's a great role. I do a lot of what we call modeling. So I get to, and I'm glad that I'm at this table, because again, we know there's a history of unfair lending that's taken place. So I get to be at the table and kind of pinpoint, no, we can't use that variable. We're going to, or we should consider this, this variable in terms of lending. So for me, I feel like I'm making a contribution back to where I started my career. I want to use math and science to, help my community. So I feel like where I'm at this journey now gives me that opportunity to really impact people, make a difference in people's day-to-day lives. And so that's the short end of my journey, Kathy. I hope I haven't gone over.
Okay. I have one question for you, Terence. You have really demonstrated what long-time learning opportunities led you to where you are today. What would you recommend that a new student, what path would they take to get to a data science position or a data analytics position?
Absolutely. I would say in hindsight, and it's something I yearn for, is statistics. Man, that statistics degree is powerful. Or even if you can't do a degree, maybe a minor in statistics, and take as many statistics courses as you can. With a statistics background, you could literally, you can go into politics and sociology and environmental, financial, Wall Street. There's so much you could do with a strong statistics background. And it incorporates a lot of other things you're doing, the modeling, the mathematics, the computer programming. So I would, if I could do it again, I would say I probably would have minored in statistics at least, even though I do have math degrees and I took a lot of statistics courses. But definitely, and trust me, I've retaken multiple statistics courses. It gets hard. It's not easy. But again, it is the foundation of business, social services, psychology. A lot of things will revolve around your statistics.
Okay. Well, we're going to move on to our next rising star, which is Mikel Davis. And she is the Director of Strategic Analytics at Peacock. Tell us about your career journey.
All right. Hi, everyone. I think it's really cool that I get to go after Terence because our career journeys are very different. he talked to you about how he loves school, and I was kind of like, how do I get the most bang for my buck with my 4-year degree? So to start, I attended Case Western Reserve University in Cleveland, Ohio, and that's where I pursued my undergraduate degree. When I started at Case, I really thought I wanted to do engineering. In high school, I was pretty good at math, and a lot of people were like, well, if you're good at math, engineering's a interesting career path to take. And once I got to Case, I was like, I really like the math part, but I wasn't really into the science part. So then I switched to studying statistics and economics double major. Throughout my college career, I was very career focused the whole time. Me being a first generation college student, I was really going to college to pursue like a career after that. I was really focused on how do I use this 4-year degree to get me a job. So I did a lot of networking in regards to, looking for internships and learning how to position and market myself. And through all that work, I ended up securing an internship at American Greetings Interactive my junior year. And that's where I really fell in love, or actually just learned about analytics and knew that I liked analytics at that point. So through my position at American Greetings Interactive, so you guys might be familiar with American Greetings, that's the greeting card company. American Greetings Interactive is their e-card business. And what I was focusing on there was, analyzing data using SAS and SQL code to understand what people were doing on the website to inform various marketing strategies and identifying different customer segments to target for marketing campaigns. And I thought that was really cool because I was able to apply a lot of what I learned at school in my classes to the real world. So I was like, okay, this analytics thing is pretty cool. I think it's probably worth noting how I even got to that internship position. So before that, I interned the summer before at American Greetings, like the traditional business and their consumer insights team. And I got that position through a organization called Summer on the Cuyahoga. They partnered with undergraduate programs on the East Coast to show them more about the lovely city of Cleveland. That's where I'm from. So I was able to learn more about American Greetings through that first internship in the consumer insights team. And I used that as an opportunity to do some informational interviews. I liked doing the market research, but I also wanted to find opportunities where I could leverage my degree more. So I was able to network with the VP of Business Intelligence, and we really got a good relationship going during that informational interview. And he was like, hey, if you're interested in interning next year, reach out to me and we can see what we can do. And I followed through on that. And that's how I ended up having that internship at American Greetings Interactive that summer after my junior year. And I worked there through the fall as well. So my senior year, that was the time for me to start thinking about, okay, what do I want to do like for my first job out of college? And another organization I was very active in is called the National Society of Black Engineers, NSBE for short. And they're really focused on how do you position yourself well as a person in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, to get you positioned for the corporate world. So through them, I learned how to network. I learned how to put networking, how to put a resume together, all that type of stuff. And through that program, I actually got 3 job offers the fall of my senior year. And through that, I decided to go with Accenture and work as a technology consultant. And the reason that I was intrigued by Accenture is because in the consulting world, you have the opportunity to try a lot of new things. And I love trying new things. I knew I would have the opportunity to travel. And I thought it would give me a really well-rounded way of trying to figure out what I actually want to do. So I spent about 2.5 years at Accenture. And I had some projects that were focused on analytics and some projects that were not. But through that experience, I realized, I really enjoyed all of my projects that were related to me analyzing data, using data to make business decisions, writing SQL code, writing SAS code at the time. And that's where I decided to pursue career analytics for a long-term career. So after a while at Accenture, I got a little bit tired of the travel. It was really fun at the time, but you do get burned out in consulting. And I knew that there were a few things I was interested in. So I knew for my next job, I really wanted to be 100% focused on analytics. I knew I wanted to stop traveling, and I knew I wanted to work in the entertainment space. At that time, I was specifically interested in music. I had throughout childhood, I played piano and I also sang in choir. And I just love music. So that's what I was initially looking for. My dream job back then was working for Pandora. But what worked out is that I ended up working for the Cleveland Cavaliers, which was, equally as awesome and really surpassed my expectations. So at the Cleveland Cavaliers, I focused primarily on revenue analytics. So a lot of people, when you think about sports, they think about analytics in regards to the players and, how do you use it for scouting and thinking about how you become a better athlete. But there's also this other side of analytics in sports that's related to the business. And a lot of that's focused on how do you drive revenue from a ticket sales perspective and from a sponsorship sales perspective. So when I first started at the Cavs, I was really focused on that ticket sales analytics. And some of the things that I worked on there was thinking about how do we price out the arena. So you'll probably notice that, the tickets that are closer to the center are more expensive than the ones that are further out, that type of thing. Also thinking about dynamic pricing and variable pricing. So what that is thinking about how do you charge different prices for a game based on the day of the week or the team that you're playing or the month, as well as thinking about sell-through of the ticket. So you might price the ticket at a certain point because you think that's a good price for it. Then it sells through really quickly and you realize you can kind of jack the price up and get more money. So it's all about how do you get more revenue out of the tickets that we have available to sell. I also had the opportunity to tap into my statistics and analytics background by building lead generation models. So that's looking at, what data do we have to help identify people that are most likely to become season ticket holders? So that's where we get a lot of revenue from there. And I also use statistics to help think about, how do we improve our marketing, our digital marketing strategy? And that was to support our Cavs games as well as like various events that happen at the arena. So I led A/B testing in regards to, how do we get efficient subject lines, which ones have the higher email open rates, also thinking about different ticketing offers and how we position how to best sell tickets. So for example, I think one time we did a test on should we market this game as the Kyrie bobblehead night or should we market it as, the prices are X% off and just measuring the balance between those and how do we drive the most revenue there. And then on the sponsorship side, a couple of years later, that's when I started focusing on that. And that's more so thinking about, how does the demographic of the Cavs business work well to position ourselves as a good partner with a company like a State Farm or a Progressive or something like that. So a lot of what I was doing is analyzing data to better understand the Cavaliers audience, both like those who watch it on TV, as well as those that come to the arena to say, hey, partnering with the Cavs makes sense for your business. So after my time at the Cavs, or during my time at the Cavs, I realized that I wanted to be in a little bit more of a environment where I could be around more folks that have a stats background to build my analytical skills. And it was pretty cool timing because my former boss at the Cavs had left maybe a year prior to start an analytics team in Los Angeles for Legendary Entertainment. And the foundation of that team was really to transform how marketing was done in the film and entertainment industry. Back then, a lot of times people were only marketing films based on like, are you male or are you female? Are you under 25? Or are you over 25? And that team really wanted to think about how do we efficiently market a film, meaning like that we spend the money efficiently and make sure that we're targeting audiences that are very specific and who might actually be interested, not just based on their gender. So I thought it was really cool to be a part of an opportunity where I could just be in a progressive space. So when she reached out to me about that opportunity, I was like, oh yeah, I'm definitely coming. So I moved from Cleveland to Los Angeles to work for Legendary Entertainment, primarily focusing on that marketing piece. Then I also use data and analytics to help with the green lighting process. So that's thinking through, should we acquire certain intellectual property or not? So I did a lot of research looking at social media trends and surveys and things like that, partnering with our data science team to put together stories around it makes sense for us to spend XYZ money to acquire this property to then turn it into a film. So given that Legendary, the applied analytics team was kind of functioning like a startup within a large organization, I was in this position where I was wearing a lot of different hats. And I realized that with more and more time, I was becoming further and further away from doing analytics, which was my true passion. So I realized it was probably going to be a good idea for me to transition to a new role a couple years into that. And ironically, a recruiter reached out to me from AT&T offering a position where I could do analytics to support customer retention. So at AT&T, that role was really focused on, how do we learn more about our customers to make sure that they don't give up. I was focused on the DirecTV product. So you might realize if you've called into DirecTV before, or even like a Comcast and said, hey, like I'm thinking about canceling, a lot of times they'll say, but wait, we have like this 10% offer for you, or we'll give you $10 off for 12 months type of thing. So in that role, I was focusing on who are those people that we should give these offers to and how much should the offer be. And I thought that was cool because I was able to, again, tap back into my coding skills. There was a lot of SQL, again, a lot of SAS. And then, I was just really kind of into that. But through all of my experiences, I realized I love analytics, but I also care about the industry. So I went from working in legendary entertainment where I was going to like movie premieres. And then at the Cavs, I was going to games and like finals games. And then at AT&T, it just wasn't the same. So I quickly realized that I want to work in analytics, but also in an industry that I thought was cool. Again, a repeat of kind of what happened when I went from the Cavs to legendary. My boss's boss ended up leaving AT&T to start a team at NBC Universal focused on enterprise business intelligence. And again, I thought that was really cool because it was kind of like, how do you transform how data is used at this big entertainment company? A lot of the data within NBC Universal is pretty much in siloed. And if you're not familiar with NBC Universal, there's a lot of different properties associated. There's the film business, there's the parks business, including Universal Studios Hollywood, Florida, and there's also all of our various networks like NBC, USA, Bravo, Sci-Fi, Oxygen, and so on. So our charter there was to think about how can we leverage all of this data that we're getting across all these businesses and bring it together so we can identify, some synergies and use it to drive marketing strategy. So a lot of what I was doing there was thinking about how do we get all this data in one place? And then how do we find the data that's most relevant for supporting the marketing for film or TV or the park? So how can we leverage parks data to support film? How can we leverage film data to support TV and so on? So that was the opportunity that was presented to me. Again, I thought that was really cool. I left AT&T to go to NBC Universal, and that was in July of 2018. And since then, I've worn a lot of different hats at NBC Universal. About a year and a half in, that's when Peacock became a thing. We decided to enter the streaming wars as a company. And given that I was doing cross-brand analytics, I was very well positioned to think about, okay, how do we use all of the data that we have across the whole organization to support the launch of Peacock? So I spent a lot of time supporting the launch of Peacock and analyzing data and behavioral trends for making recommendations. How do we get more people on the Peacock platform? And then since then, I've been at Peacock, and I'm currently at Peacock. During that time, I went from cross-brand analytics to supporting social media analytics. So that's thinking about how do we grow our follower bases on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube? How do we drive engagement on those platforms? How do we best market the content that's coming out? And currently, I'm focusing on strategic analytics. So as Kathy mentioned, I'm the director of strategic analytics at Peacock currently, and I have three main charters, I would say there. The first one is focusing on customer strategy. So that's thinking about, how do we leverage the data that we have within the Peacock business to learn more about our customers, profile them, and think about how do we acquire more customers and more customers that are like the best customers that we have, and how do we retain the customers that we have by just analyzing their behavior and their various trends and things like that. And then another part of my charter is how do we use data to support the long-term strategic vision for Peacock? So thinking through the long-term decisions that we're making and providing data inputs for that. And then the last thing I'm focusing on is executive insights. So if there's any data questions that are coming through from the NBC Universal CEO or from the Peacock CEO, a lot of the time, my team is the one that's putting that together. Or if you see any numbers out in the press, such in Deadline or any other major news network, a lot of times my team is the one providing the stats for that too. And that pretty much wraps up my current career.
Thank you, Mikel. I have some questions. I'll have some questions for the panel a little later on, but I want to move on to our third rising star, who is Tawain Gilbert. And Tawain is an energy efficiency senior program manager at Oncor Electric Delivery. Tawain, tell us about your career journey.
Oh, yes. Hello. Hello, everyone. Yeah, I'm again, as Kathy mentioned, I'm Tawain Gilbert. I'm originally from a small town in East Texas, Dangerfield, Lone Star area. I ended up going to college at Texas A&M University Commerce, which is about an hour east of Dallas. When I got to college, my major was general business initially, and as I got to know some of the professors there, throughout that first semester, the very next semester, one of the professors, he began to try to encourage and persuade some students to enroll in this new program that they offered at the university. It was called Management Information Systems, and I wasn't quite sure exactly what that was. I mean, I was again first generation college student as well. This is back in the mid to late '90s when I went to college, and so I listened to him. He kind of told me about it. He said, "Hey, it's kind of a mix of both business and computer science." And honestly, I really didn't think I was smart enough to do computer science, or anything like that. I mean, I was kind of intimidated. I mean, let alone I was here just doing general business. But I ended up listening to him and kind of got into it and really found out that I kind of liked it. In doing that, not only was I learning accounting, finance, marketing, statistics, but I also got to learn how to do programming, computer programming, database design, and even software design. We had my senior year. We had a project that we had to do. We had a team, and everyone on the team had a specific role in developing an application. And I was a DBA. Again, I'm in college, still trying to figure things out. But that experience ended up being so good that it really kind of sparked something in me. And it let me know that when you work in a team environment, you may not know everything, but as a team, you can come together and figure things out. So I got really interested in it and ended up graduating with my degree from Texas A&M University Commerce. Now, after I graduated college, I got out and tried to find a job in that field, but it really wasn't happening, right away. So I started taking, like call center type jobs. And one job in 2000, I started working at a company called CompUSA Incorporated, based in Dallas. And I worked in the call center, because I needed to get a job. I just moved to Dallas, and I needed a job. So I took that job in the call center. It worked out for a couple of months, but I began to get frustrated. I said, man, I need to go and find something better for my career. And I was actually getting ready to leave CompUSA. I had applied for a financial advising position, and I went to that initial training session that they had with the company, and I was getting ready to leave until my boss, my first boss in the data field, John Bella, he had a position available for a report developer. So I ended up applying, and within weeks, it happened so fast, I ended up getting that job. And that really started my career, my data analytics career. In that job at CompUSA, I was able to do not only database design. I was able to learn more programming. I worked in the sales, the business services division. So I began to work a lot with our sales reps. We worked with big corporations like your Dells and Toshibas and your big computer manufacturing companies. And I did sales reporting on various products. Did sales reporting on stores. Did sales reporting for our sales reps that impacted their commission. So I was on the back end doing reporting and analytics, calculating commission that impacted other employees' pay. I even worked with accounting. I did a lot of P&L type reports and had to set up those type of profit and loss statements. That was really a good a starting point for me. I tell you this, my journey in data is I've been in data, working in data analytics for 22 years. So I tell you now, I've definitely seen how now we're really benefiting from tools like Tableau and things like that. I wish 20 years ago we had some of that stuff. It would have made my life a whole lot better back then. But I had to leverage back in the day Excel and Microsoft Access and SQL Server really heavily. Just getting my hands dirty in the weeds. So that really and that's another thing, getting my hands dirty in the weeds, that really helped develop me back in the day. I mean, because I spent hours and hours, even when other people left, the office, I'm still there working, working on my craft, working on queries, working on programming, working on various report tools, business objects and other things like that, trying to get better so I can make sure that my bosses were pleased with my work. Eventually at CompUSA, I worked there for 8 years and they eventually went out of business. So I ended up having to find another job. So I was out in the interview process and I want to mention this. In your career, there are internal aspects that affect your job, but there's also external aspects that can affect your career as well. And one of mine, I just want to be transparent, is I have a physical disability, and not to shed light on that, but I wanted to bring that up because in my career, my disability doesn't define my career in data analytics, but it definitely is a part of who I am as a person. And all of us, to some degree, have something that we, as a person, we have to deal with. But you have to push through all those circumstances, not only on the job, but even externally. And I recall one time in trying to find a new job, Michael's, the craft store Michael's, they were looking for a data analyst. I was called in for the interview, and I recall that one time that when I was getting ready for the interview, I can kind of get myself dressed back in the day somewhat, but I had that morning, for some reason, I was having trouble. And because it took me so long to get dressed, I almost missed that interview. But I went to the interview, I made it there. I didn't get the job, but the interview went so well. But even though I didn't get the job, but I wanted to bring that up so that to let everyone know you have to push through, regardless of your situation, your circumstance, you have to push through in order to advance your career in whatever it is. So I didn't get the Michael's job, but Capgemini Energy ended up hiring me. And with that role, I was working as a consultant to Oncor Electric Delivery in the revenue management department. And that really is where my career just took off even further. So I took the skills I learned from CompUSA at Capgemini Energy. I began to grow even more in the database space. I started learning more of SQL Server. That's where I got introduced to Oracle. I didn't know Oracle before then because CompUSA ran a SQL Server platform. Oncor was on an Oracle platform. So that's something new I had to learn. And that's another important thing is in this journey, you're always going to be learning new things. So you have to be open to learn. You have to be open to learn. But that was a good experience for 2 years. And 2 years after that, Oncor ended up hiring me on full time in 2010. So I've been with Oncor now for 12 years. The first 7 years of my career with Oncor, I worked in the market performance department. And with that department, I really began to work with our customer operations groups. I did a lot of market compliance. We did a lot of work with the PUC, Texas Public Utility Commission, where we had to do report filings, and a lot of great things. Again, I began expanding my skill set even more. Started working with Tableau and other tools, and it really began to just kind of just take off. And then after that, that was a great experience. And then 5 years ago, I was afforded the opportunity to get hired on with my current job with energy efficiency as a senior program manager. Now, I'll tell you this, going into that job, I had worked with the department before because they needed data in some aspects. And so they would reach out to us and so I had a little familiarity with energy efficiency, but I didn't know energy efficiency. But thankfully, because I knew data, and that's kind of what they needed at the time, they ended up bringing me on. I got hired for the position. And when I got hired, I brought my skill set in data, even though I didn't know all about energy efficiency, but thankfully I had mentors and my managers and directors. They showed me and taught me the ropes. And once they did that, I also took initiative and learned things on my own as well. Again, using data as my main primary strength. You know, in every single job that I've had in my career, I've always kind of been kind of like that liaison between IT and the business operation. So I've always kind of been that technical SME who can get some things done technically, but also being able to translate, you know, the business needs. And with energy efficiency, there was a huge learning curve. But I'm really grateful now that 5 years later, here I am. I'm still with the group, learning a lot. Currently, some of the things that we have going on with energy efficiency is, I'm working with some predictive analytic type things. I'm working with a team. I may not be doing the predictive modeling, but I work with the team in that. We also do our own internal reporting and analytics within the group. One of the things I'm currently doing as well is we have one of our offerings, our program offerings in energy efficiency is we have a retail products platform where we offer discounts to lights in various big discount stores. And one of the things I'm doing now, and I look back at this 20 years ago, things kind of came full circle. But what I'm doing with this analysis is I'm finding myself now having to analyze sales of the stores. And it kind of put me back in the CompUSA mindset where I had to do store sales analysis back in the day. So here I am full circle doing it all over again. But with this group, I mean, it's really amazing. I'm really loving it. We're really doing a lot of reporting around energy efficiency measures. I use data to try to help understand how we should set our incentive levels for our customers. And I mean, the sky's the limit. I mean, there's just so much with energy efficiency and we're using data every single day, even down to 15-minute interval data in generating reports and analysis for how our customers are using energy year over year or month over month. So it's really fun. I'm really enjoying it. That's really just a very little bit about my career. I wish I had more time to tell you more, but that's a little bit about my journey.
Thank you, Tawain. Could all the speakers turn their mics and cameras on, because I'm going to have questions for the speakers. And if the audience has questions, please put them in the Q&A. But I'd like each of you to describe your typical day. What happens when you start your computer, the typical day, and tell us what it looks like. So Terence, can you start with that?
Sure. So right now, again, so I'm in a fairly new company. So my typical days are really about still onboarding, data discovery. And because I'm going to do so much in the big data and modeling space, I work closely with our IT and DBA departments about where is data, where is this, and working in the financial sector, I have to be very careful about what I do and what type of data I'm exposed to. So typical day for me, I log on. I use we use Snowflake, which is a kind of online database. I know Tawain talked about the Oracle and the Teradata and the MySQL. So I definitely used all of those. There's a journey. So right now I'm using it. So I log on to the database system. And for me, I'm a coder. So I start writing SQL code. So again, I didn't mention it before. definitely your SQL coding skills are super important. And I start data discovery, analyzing, learning new tools, new ways to extract data faster, what data I'm looking for, demographic, population, sales. And I use Tableau a lot more nowadays. We're a little spoiled with Tableau in the sense that Tableau, a tool like Tableau could really do it all for you. You could ingest the data. You could do the data science inside of Tableau. You do the data visualizations. Once upon a time, you would, have 3 or 4 different applications, Excel to do this, Access to do that, and, PowerPoint to do that. But now you can do it all in something like Tableau. So my typical day is literally just learning, getting up to speed, doing a lot of reading and research, and like I said, using these tools and analytics that we you've heard from Mikel and Tawain.
Okay. What about you, Mikel? What does your typical day look like?
So for me, in my current role, I manage a team of analysts. So my day is like meetings, and more meetings. So a lot of it's focusing on meeting with our stakeholders to better understand what are their pain points, what problems are they trying to solve, and thinking through how can we use data to help solve that problem. And then another part of my time is focusing on meeting with my analysts and kind of talking them through what I've learned from our stakeholders, letting them know, this is the problem that we need to solve, giving them some advice on how to tackle it from a data perspective. Once they start tackling it, kind of going back and forth and having a constant feedback loop of, maybe we should approach the analysis this way. Have you thought about X, Y, Z? So a lot of it's kind of like coaching my analysts and helping them think through how we solve various business problems with data. And they're the ones that are really hands-on keyboard with writing the SQL code and thinking about how we aggregate it and summarize it. And then I also lean in to help, summarize that data. And then another big piece is of understanding like our data from a whole. So similar to Terence, we use Tableau a lot. All of our Peacock data is kind of like leveraging the Tableau as a platform. So I go into there and learn more about, how are we looking from our platform in regards to how our customer base is looking at, are we looking healthy from a business perspective? So with me working in strategic analytics, it's important for me to understand the business as a whole. But a lot of it's kind of focusing on, strategically, how are we doing as a business? How is my team doing? And am I satisfying my stakeholders?
Okay, very good. Tawain.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. So my day, it varies. It varies day to day. A core of what I do is in the state of Texas, we have within energy efficiency, we have what we call a technical resource manual, which lays out all of our energy efficiency measures. And it has the algorithms that are associated with how to define or how to calculate the demand savings or energy savings reduction. So I spend a lot of my time collaborating with other utilities in the state, so that throughout the year we're always making sure that all the algorithms correct. Do we need to add and update our reference manual? Are there any new measures or new technologies that we need to add to our technical reference manual? That's along with that's kind of some of the things you can find me doing on a typical day. Once, for example, if there was a new measure added, then one thing I would do, along with others on my team, is we would do market research analysis to see, okay, how could we implement this within our energy efficiency portfolio? And then I would do some cost effectiveness analysis to ensure that it's beneficial and it's cost effective. Another thing that I even like currently what I'm doing right now is I'm working with a team on some predictive heating type things, use cases, and that we're actually deploying into production. That's going to be used by our team. And along with I told you about the stores analysis that I'm doing for another one of our programs. So again, I work a lot with our IT department in our data integration. We may have a new external implementer that we're working with, and we might need to merge our systems together. So I work with our IT department on that data integration process. So I'm kind of all over the board. I do analytics, but I'm also doing operational type process work and helping manage and facilitate some of that.
Okay. We had a question where someone asked about pivoting to data science. What advice would you give someone who's not doing data science but wants to pivot into it at a later part of their career? Anybody can answer that one.
I can kick it off. So one thing I'll mention that there's a difference between data science and data analytics. So I think understanding which path you want to take is important. Data science is more about AI and modeling and things like that. But data analytics is more about being like a data translator and thinking about how do we use data, even if it's from like a descriptive level, to help drive a business decision. And a lot of times data analytics folks partner with data science people. So on the data science route, I know a little bit about it, but not as much as I do about data analytics. But data science, you want to build up your Python skills and modeling skills. And I'm sure Terence can speak a little bit more about that. On the data analytics side, I would say from a technical perspective, understanding SQL code is really important. Python a little bit, but definitely SQL. And then also trying to get your hands on some practice data sets, taking some courses and on like Coursera, things like that, some data boot camps, but things that are more focused on like applied data. So how can I use this data to drive a business decision is what really data and analytics is all about.
Okay. Yes, I definitely concur with Mikel on that. And I would also add, if you're going to pivot, you're going to need to be patient and take your time in learning because it's so vast. It's so vast. So don't overwhelm yourself and just learn bits and pieces and just add upon what you learn.
Okay. We had a question in from Edwin. He said, data science is not a field that is usually encouraged in our communities as a career path, and that is true. What do you think big companies like Tableau and other public-private companies need to do to advance data science as an option for BIPOC communities, considering what COVID-19 revealed about the great digital divide, especially in K-12 education? And I will say, this is the real reason why the Data Lingual Institute exists. So can someone answer that question, what companies can do?
I think companies really just need to get out on the forefront and really address it head on instead of trying to cover it up. I know I can't speak for all companies, but I do know that within Oncor, we do a great job of engaging all employees. We have new initiatives around employee resource groups and opening up discussions, for topics like these. We want to definitely offer, or allow or offer a platform where everyone has an equitable platform to grow and learn.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't mean to be a downer, but and I will say this, it could be a bit of a lonely journey too, to be honest. I'm oftentimes the only person I see either in school or in my office, and so there's still a lot of work to be done. What can companies do? Yeah, Kathy's here for
that. Shannon asks, as data analytics continues to evolve, how can we get companies to lean into making data-driven decisions? I think part of the solution is having data literate employees, which you're down to your lowest level employee can understand the benefits of making a data-driven decision as opposed to just a judgment decision. Leaders are missing out on tapping out on teams, but I think there's just a big push for data literacy in all areas of the corporation.
I can speak about that too. So me being at Peacock, we're extremely data-driven. Every decision that we make is based on data, and I'm really grateful for that because I love data. But in the other careers that I worked in, other companies I worked for, it didn't always look like that. Like I mentioned during my career journey, I was kind of entering these fields where data wasn't traditionally used to make business decisions. So you kind of have to find creative ways to encourage people to embrace it. A lot of what I did during that time was trying to find like low-hanging fruit or quick wins and finding like small interpretable data points that the team can be like, oh, you know what, that makes sense. So it's kind of like leaning in and kind of give them like a little bit of an inch where you can show like a really big impact with a very small data point. And then once you start getting their buy-in, then you can start introducing things that are a little bit more complex.
Okay. Well, I'm going to wind this down. I'd like to continue this conversation maybe in a next Blacks in Analytics event. But I want to conclude with this quote from President Barack Obama. We are the ones we've been waiting for. We are the change that we seek. It is so important that we are at the table to keep bias from the analytics process. And we do have to take it down to the K-12 level so that we can bring people up on this. I thank this prestigious panel. I thank Tableau for their Data and Diversity series. And we hope to see you at our next event and to get involved, and also to get involved with Blacks in Analytics User Group. I wish you a great afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you.